You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, Chiro Pro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 287 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jodi Dinnerman, and if you want to understand what it means to have the subluxation cleared, stay tuned. All right, welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. This is number 287, and the Chiro Hustle podcast, just for clarity, protects free speech in chiropractic and protects a sacred trust for all chiropractors, young and old. So with that being said, I'm really excited to have Jodi Dinnerman on as our guest today. And what's it say after your name, Jodi?
Did you just call me old?
No, I did not call you
that
old.
Would be Diva Mama.
Way to get me on my heels early on in this interview, but it's great to have you on, Jodi Diva Mama, and to touch on chiropractic with you and have a real fun interview.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. As chiropractic, every chiropractor, I believe, has a story. And I think it's the essence of our show, what makes it so valuable to the chiropractic profession and really gets the narrative flowing each time is, what is your story? And if you could just share with our audience today, what inspired you to get into the chiropractic?
So when I was 19, my first 19 years were really confused. And I spent a lot of time following the Grateful Dead around and thinking that was my life mission, was to be Bob Weir's greatest fan. And when I was 19, I got sober. I had a spiritual experience and woke up and haven't looked back since. It's been almost 30 years. And when I started working in a health food store, and my chiropractor 2B came into my line and he said, "There's something special about you. I want you to come work for me." And I'd never heard the voice before, but something about him and what he was saying, I heard a voice, and the voice said, "Go and lean in." And I went and I got adjusted, and I thought it was very weird, and I didn't like the sound or the feel, but something happened after, and that's something I've been chasing ever since. And I like to say that chiropractic brought my life from black and white to color. It made things real. It made me fit in my skin. It still does. I got adjusted yesterday, and when I was done, every time I get adjusted, I say to myself, how do people not do this? And I have a lot of work to do to get more people, more families under chiropractic care. So that's my story. I've been in practice I'm in my 21st year. I've served over 120,000 adjustments, and it continues to awe me.
That's a lot of adjustments.
What's that, man? I got big hands, really big hands.
So what else would you say makes you unique or different or stand out in the chiropractic world?
I do things my way. I always have. I don't know how to do them any other way. And I'm really clear that my job, from the moment my practice member walks in to when they are done with their visit that day, is to give them the clearest, purest version of chiropractic that I know to be true. And I use only my hands. That's that's my truth. That's what makes sense to me. And my intention is to find subluxation and help the body to integrate it. And I think I do a pretty good job at that, but I do it in a very unique way. I dot my I's and cross my T's very differently. I don't have staff. I do everything automated. I see a ton of babies and kids. And I always say, if I didn't get puked on or pooped on at the end of the day, I did something wrong. So lots of babies, lots of bellies before, during, and after pregnancy, and their grandparents too. what makes my practice unique is I take into account every sense, taste, touch, sound, sight, smell for my practice members, the experience of being in the office. And I am very clear that, I'd fit into a lot of these boxes that are big in schools now, where this person has these letters and this person has these letters. I have all those letters, and I feel the world more than I see it or hear it. And then I smell it more than I see it or hear it. And so the senses and honoring the senses in my office is very important, and feel that people feel it as soon as they walk in. So I'm on the floor. I get down and dirty, and I have a lot of fun with my practice members.
So you have no staff, everything's automated. What software do you use? How is everything so seamless?
Yeah. So I use Jane app. I love it. I love their team even more than I love the program, which is why I really fell in love with what they're doing there. And it's seamless because I'm the kind of person where if you put a challenge in front of me, I'm going to create a solution. But unless the challenge presents itself, I'm probably not very interested in creating the solution. So my biggest challenge in practice was having staff and managing them, because I suck at managing people. And I got really clear that when there was somebody sitting at my front desk, the message of chiropractic always got misconstrued somehow. Whether it was, how do you feel now that you got adjusted? Or I'm so sorry that your back is hurting, or whatever it was that I was hearing, no matter how hard I was training them to not have that happen, it still happened. And where the ball dropped, I'm not sure. So I figured out that the way for me to be really content and comfortable practicing and not to have a subluxated practice is to not have staff and to have all of the admin and stuff happen when I'm not adjusting, because I find it a distraction. So I set up the systems and created the processes, and we actually have built a school called Staffless Practice. And SEWP School it's a whole finishing school to teach chiropractors how to do this too. Because I had to find a way to do it and not be distracted, because I feel that what I do is that important.
And is this virtual? Can people where do people go to sign up for the Staffless practice?
Stafflesspractice.com. Stafflesspractice.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of times, Dr. Jodi, is people, they leak power when they don't have people that are on the same page as them. And that's your first person they see, last person they see is that staff. And if they're running their own agenda while they're working at your office, I've also heard that that's where collections suffer. That's where retention suffers. That's where the messaging suffers. And you have to have somebody that's very congruent with the message, and you constantly have to be shepherding them and to course correcting them and managing them and making sure that they're living with your vital systems. And it's really hard to build congruency in a workplace that's so tight knit and small staff that it's you have to have somebody that's very, very trustworthy and somebody that wants to see chiropractic win as much as the doctor. So I think that those are some really important things for people to take home with this episode today is do it yourself.
You know what? There are practices out there who are crushing it with teams. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the magic sauce is. I've never been able to figure it out because, again, I suck at it. So I remember taking my staff to chiropractic philosophy seminars and looking isn't this the coolest thing you ever heard? And they'd be sleeping. So, I don't know how to create that vibe with team. And I've spent thousands of dollars and hours trying to figure it out. And it's just not my thing. And what I'm finding, Jim and Luke, is that it's not a lot of people's thing. We're really good at doing what we do, but we're not managers. But the people, those of you who are listening to this and you are a chiropractor and you figured it out, kudos to you, man. I think it's incredible. And there are some really talented CAs out there. It hasn't been my experience.
So what would be the one piece of advice you'd give to another clinician who wants more new patients in their office? Just
be yourself. And wherever you go, you can't hold the message in. every opportunity you have, you ask people, who's your family chiropractor? You make the assumption, better to be told no, better to be slapped on the hand than told no. So you make the assumption everybody has a dentist, everybody has a chiropractor too. So wherever you go, our job, our duty, right, in my opinion, is to make sure that the people who you come into contact with have a family chiropractor. And if it's not you, that's cool, as long as they have a family chiropractor. And then, my husband is my best friend. We've been together for a long, long time. And he always says, Jodi, just be yourself. The rest will work itself out. So that's the best advice I can give to somebody. Just be yourself. And if you truly love chiropractic, it will bleed through your pores. You eat, sleep, and breathe chiropractic because that's who you are. That's who I am. I'm not a dentist or an MD. I'm a chiropractor, and I know that no matter how I feel or don't feel, I get adjusted. Did you get adjusted today? Did you get adjusted this week? No? Well, why? And then, give people the space to process their own answers. Like, don't make people wrong for not having a family chiropractor. Ask why they don't have one. Be curious. I think curiosity is one of the best qualities of leadership. Be curious. Like, well, tell me more. Why don't you have a chiropractor? Because people will talk through that question and say at the end of it, oh man, this is something I really need to discover. We're smart people, most of us.
Something I really like that you said earlier is you take care of people with your hands. And the Greek definition of chiropractic is done by hand. Mm-hmm. And that's the purest form of chiropractic, in my opinion. And I believe that there's a lot of techniques in the profession, but that's the thing that makes chiropractic so special too. As you said, did you get adjusted today? Did you get adjusted this week? Well, there's a powerful thing that happens when you get that first adjustment, but there's also something that powerful that happens when you get the 100th adjustment and the thousands of adjustment. And like you said, you delivered over 120,000 adjustments in your 21 years. So if you think about the culmination of power that you've turned on in people's lives time and time again, it's done by hand, and it's a transference of energy, and it takes something and allows something to thrive. And that's the nervous system. But so many people don't really understand that one adjustment has a direct impact on their immune system, on their organ system, on all systems, their circulatory system. The vagus nerve gets lit up, and it connects the brain to the body faster. And it allows the transmission from the heart to the brain to work faster, and the lungs work better. So people don't really understand what that adjustment means. So the big question when you ask people, who's your family chiropractor? No, who's the person taking care of your family with real health? The healthcare system, I think, is a bit garbled and broken, but the care of health system is chiropractic. The healthcare system is something completely different that's been bought and sold a million times now. But chiropractors really deliver care of health, and that's the adjustment. So going back to that root, which is done by hand, which is chiropractic, which is life-changing from one adjustment to the 1,000th adjustment. I love that you said that. So I just wanted to make an anchor statement with that is, people have to understand that the chiropractic adjustment is the primary. Everything else is the quality of life that it produces.
Yeah. What makes me different than the guy down the street is I serve the adjustment. I focus on correcting subluxation, and I'm the only doctor that's been trained to do that. Where else do you learn subluxation, and where else do you learn innate and universal and power that made the body heals the body every time without exception? It just needs the space to do so. Where else do you learn that? And the thing is that you could have 10 chiropractors lined up, and they're doing 10 different things and calling it chiropractic, and it truly can all be chiropractic. And I think that what the intention of the hand on the spine, or wherever, however you contact or connect with subluxation, the intention is what makes it a chiropractic adjustment. And some people, it really floats their boat to use really fancy instrumentation and tools. It's just, it's never it's never rang true for me. I want to touch you and feel you and smell you and get all up in that subluxation. I want to experience who yesterday my chiropractor was adjusting me, and he was doing an anterior thoracic adjustment on me. And right before he put the force in, he looked over at me and he's like, take a deep breath with me. And together we boom. And it was like, I've never, you can't feel more connected to somebody than that moment. Right. And to miss out on that because I'm not connecting in, I'm listening to what the front desk person's saying or who's calling or who's texting. No way, man. There can't be any distractions for me. I am all in when my hands are on somebody. And here's the deal. If I'm doing less than that, if I'm disconnected from that, I shouldn't have my hands on people. And I will say this is where I say no, right? I will say this. If your hands are on somebody, and I'm talking to all of my brothers and sisters in chiropractic, and you are thinking anything but the greatest good for that person whose hands you're on, whose body you're on with your hands, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Because your thoughts are part of the process, right? So if I'm thinking about who's coming in next, is this person's account up to date? I'm hungry, whatever, I'm tired. What's happening in the world? No, nothing. Jim, if I adjust you, the only thing in my world is you. And if my hands are on you, I owe that to you. I owe that to your world. I owe that to the world at large, right? If I'm doing anything other than that, I shouldn't be adjusting you. And I see that way too. There are people talking about really ugly things while they're adjusting, and it's just so gross. Like, it can't happen, you guys. It can't happen.
Well, it's great that you get adjusted yourself, but what are some other things that you do for your health and the health for your family?
You want me to start talking about CrossFit, Luke? Because sure, I will.
If that's what you do.
So, but the truth be told, I do talk about CrossFit a lot because it really did change my life. And I lift heavy weights, and I lift them because it helps me be on this planet more. I'm very spacey, and I go out there, and again, I feel the world more than I see it or smell it or hear it, and feeling all the time and being so affected by people's energy, it's exhausting. But when I go and I lift heavy weights and I pick them up and I put them down, it anchors me in my body. And I feel like if I'm not doing that, something else is going to anchor me in my body, and it's usually pain. And I don't want to be in pain. So I lift heavy weights. I eat real food. I drink a lot of water. I clean up my messes. Like, if I mess it up, I'm going to clean it up, whether it's with people or situations. I'm honest to a fault. I have no filter. Like, if you piss me off or something I said pisses you, I'm going to clean it up. And I share wherever I can as much joy as possible. And some people can't stand it and they run the other way. Most people lean in. And I've got a lot of really cool people in my life.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle. Yeah, it's cool to hear you admit that we're all fallible. And it's also true about people that don't know about chiropractic. So we can't ever put like the all watching, like, you better be doing this, otherwise you're failing at life, talk to people. But I think it's important to have a vibrational frequency, the way that you communicate with people, and to let them know that you're a servant and that you're going to locate, detect, and correct vertebral subluxation as best that you can with the skill sets that you have. And you're going to connect man the physical to man the spiritual, or woman the physical to woman the spiritual, and be able to reconnect them back to source, which I think is really like the hippy dippy side of chiropractic, but it's the true side of chiropractic. It's a side that most people in the public don't understand. They just understand it from a mechanistic standpoint because that's what they've been marketed towards. But really,
so let me go there with you for a minute, because
yeah,
this was a huge conundrum for me.
mm-hmm.
It's never been in my belief that we ever disconnect from source. I think we're always connected. I think the connection can be distorted and the rhythm can be off. But I feel like I know that first of all, I know that I don't even have the glasses through which to understand this stuff. My human brain will never totally conceive or get the concept of how big this stuff is, right? Maybe when I'm done with this body. But what I know to be true in my experience is that we don't disconnect. We always are connected. But my expression of that connection, the rhythm of that connection, it can be muted, it can be dulled, it can be ragistic, where it's not clear. It's not as clear as it could be. And in my experience, when we subluxate, our rhythm is distorted. But it's not a bad thing. It's so that we can move into a state of chaos. And then as that chaos settles, we learn a new vibration of the expression of Jodi Dinnerman or the expression of Jim Chester, right? So I sat through chiropractic school saying to myself, well, if the power that made the body heals the body every time, then why do we subluxate? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why did innate screw up that one thing, right? And that's when I learned chiropractic through the language that I understand it. It made it all make sense. It made subluxation make sense. And cool, here's the subluxation. What's going to happen when it's released? What's next? What's the next layer of greatness of Jim Chester beneath the unraveling of this subluxation, which really makes chiropractic so fun, because you just never know what's going to happen with the next adjustment. You just don't, right?
So what are some of your favorite ways to stay connected to your patients and your community?
I sing to them a lot. How do I stay connected I don't really feel that I ever lose the connection with them. As far as my community is concerned, I really am an introvert. Like, I don't like being around a lot of people. I do really well with one person, but being in groups freaks me out. You'll notice, like, when I come to Mile High, I disappear a lot because it's very overwhelming. So when I'm out in the community, I'm kind of a one-on-one kind of girl. So I'll pick one person here and there that I really want to connect with, that I feel will be a fulcrum of change for my community in my practice, but also the community at large. And I'll go for a walk in the woods with them, or I'll have tea with them. Meaningful connections I don't do the small talk thing well. That's a Dinnerman thing. Like, we don't talk about the weather or our shoes. We talk about, like, where are you at? What are you feeling? What are you learning? How are you healing? What's your experience on the planet? We start that in the elevator. We don't start with, how is your day going? So how do I stay connected? I move through the world with as much grace as possible. I usually trip over myself at least 5 times a day. I laugh a lot. I drink a lot of water. I sweat. I move to the point of sweat at least 5 times a week. Like, I have these rules. And if I let the rules go, I get really screwed up. And I become that guy whose hands are on the person and I'm thinking about the other thing. And I've gotten really good in 21 years at catching myself. Like, okay, Jodi, you need a break. You're not in flow. When you're not in flow, the worst thing is knowing that you're not in flow and not changing it. It's just gross. It's a gross way to experience the world.
So that leads us into our next question, talking about 21 years. Where do you see chiropractic going in the next 21 years?
This question would have been answered a lot differently a couple of years ago. I believe that we are going to move through this stronger. I really do. And I've been saying that since things got weird. I believe that we are unique enough and strong enough as a community. I'm talking about chiropractors, that we're going to find a way to prevail through this. I truly believe, Jim was talking before this, that the word is no. No, I won't put up with this. No, I won't yield to your rules. But my word is love. And I don't mean to sound cheesy, right? But it's true. I believe there is no difference between chiropractic and love. I believe that chiropractic and God and innate and universal and love, they all hang out in the same pool, right? And I also believe that they are the only thing that is real. And anything outside of that pool is just a distortion or an illusion or is fear. And fear never survives. Love always, always, always wins in my experience. But again, I'm saying this to you guys, and I don't even feel like I have the lenses through which to see what I'm looking at. I'm just a 48-year-old chiropractic crazy mama doing the very best she can, waking up, suiting up, showing up, right? And tomorrow, I don't know what to expect. I don't know the currency today. I don't know who's going to walk in my office and what I should expect as our experience. That's not true 5 years ago. Now, you guys, I had somebody, can I go there?
Yeah, you can.
I've seen people carry strollers up to my office with their babies in bubble wrap so that they don't get a virus. I'm seeing crazy stuff happening. And I think to myself, I can say no to this moment and make this person wrong, or make them know that my experience is that they're wrong, or I can love them in that moment with curiosity. And what I choose to do is feel where they are for a moment, feel the fear that they're feeling. Feel the confusion and the what if and what does this mean? And I saw this on the news last night and it has to be true. Feel that fear just long enough to see that my hair is messed up, right? And then find the opposite of it in me. The expression of the opposite, it's usually love. Sometimes it's joy, which is just a branch of love. And then give that back to them times 10. So when I see the bubble wrap stroller come into the office, feel that fear just for a moment, right? And then give her the best freaking adjustment I know how to give her and love her the entire way through, so that all I'm feeling and thinking and being is love. And here's the deal, okay? If the phone's ringing or somebody's asking me about money or I'm focused on the cell phone and the texting, there's no way I can do that. And that's why I can't have staff. So it all comes together. It all comes full circle, you know. The only other thing I'm going to say is I feel like the signal I have to know that I'm in flow is I look for the coincidences. Like, oh, there's that number again. Or there's that name again. And I feel like as the coincidences show up, I know that I'm good. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, you know, from what you're saying is I'm really objectifying this and saying we all need to know our audience. And I'm not saying to say no to that person with their fears. I'm saying no to the overarching agenda of pharmacology and drugs in chiropractic.
Right.
And that's something that we should all be rigid with in the chiropractic profession, that love the freedom of providing chiropractic care as an unadulterated chiropractor. And I think that that's something to say no to that type of agenda. But yeah, you have to take people where they are, but you have to know your audience as well. And the patient has a different type of communication style than the overarching medical tyranny that people are experiencing right now. And that's a huge no to me. But, you know, everybody has their own way of handling energy, and they have their own way of handling what they see coming down the line. My biggest interest is how are we going to retain freedom of speech in chiropractic, keep chiropractic non-pharmacological, non-drug related, and to keep protecting the sacred trust long-term in the next 20 years.
How do you do that? Here's the biggest question for me, and I've been asking it for over 30 years. How do you do that when the guy down the street with the word chiropractor on his sign is saying, we fix back pain, and by the way, this is the next new laser that we're serving for your pain? Like, how do you, it is such an uphill battle that I feel like I've been saying this too, like, I wish that they would just call it something else, you know, and whether they call it chiropractic medicine or chiropractic physicians or whatever words that they use, I almost feel like there's a good thing about this separation of that, because it's not chiropractic, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you. I would so much rather have a practice member come into my office who's never been adjusted and has no experience with chiropractic than somebody who's had that stuff, because that needs a re-education. Do you see what I'm saying? If someone doesn't leave my office and they don't know what subluxation means, I've done them a disservice.
I agree. And I think that you're spot on with your energy towards both those instances. Is the people that do something different, maybe that's not chiropractic, but there's also something else to be said about that. Is unity through diversity, and just knowing that chiropractors are all going to adjust a little bit different. They're all going to provide different types of levels of service. And that's why I tell people that you have to build a relationship with that chiropractor to see if what they're doing is right for you. And if you want to stick around, you can. If not, no trouble. And I think that that's really where people come into this chiropractic space, is that they treat it so absolute that they never get a chance to understand that chiropractic is different as they go from office to office. And it should be something that's more cautiously accepted. Is we practice unity through diversity. We have a lot of chiropractors that do things the way that they want to and the way that they see fit as being a doctor of chiropractic, but we don't do it like them there. But if you want that type of care, they do that over there. So I think that that's also something to say. We're more alike than we are different. And we are all chiropractors protecting the sacred trust. And we do these things for the purpose of our licensing. And I think that those are the things where we had to come full circle on. Maybe that answers your 30-year question, that chiropractors had to be a bit more sensitive of their own breed, rather than saying, I don't do it like them, they do it like they're. Like, I think that we have to come back to terms that chiropractors are all playing a big game. And they are for lesser terms, you guys are a endangered species. And we have to treat chiropractic as that. And if we don't treat it like that, then like you're saying, they're going to practice chiropractic medicine. They'll be chiropractic physicians, and we'll be chiropractors.
That's kind of what's happening.
It is.
That's kind of what's happening. And, I know if somebody has been in a practice, if I can say what does subluxation mean to you, and they look at me and they've never heard the word subluxation, I can pretty much guesstimate where they're coming in at. And all I'm saying is that it's important for me that people are exposed to the philosophy of chiropractic, because it's one of the legs, right? It's a third of what we do. And I want them to understand that if they get off the table and they feel more pain than they feel great, it's okay. If they feel great, it's okay. If their back still hurts, it's okay, because they're more connected. And I'll say that until I'm blue in the face. I don't treat back pain. It's not what I do. I don't know about pain. I know about innate. I know about subluxation. I know about the power that made the body. I don't know about headaches and migraines. I think you're going to feel good. I don't know if you're going to feel good. I'll do my best. I don't know if you're supposed to feel good. I know you're not supposed to be subluxated, because it's a distorted version of who you are. Let's make sure that shifts. Face down, Mrs. Jones.
So we're starting to come up on the edge of our time together. So why don't we close out with a quick miracle story that you've seen in your office?
I'm the miracle story. I'm the miracle story because I still get adjusted every 2 weeks after over 32 years. I still am in love with chiropractic. I always say I love chiropractic more than I love air. I couldn't be on the planet without it. I'd probably be drunk somewhere, and that wouldn't make any use of my time on this planet. So I'm the miracle story. And then every person who I touch and I get to serve through chiropractic makes that miracle stronger and bigger. I'm very grateful to be part of the world of chiropractic. I love it.
That is easily my favorite answer to that question.
Thanks, Luke.
So before we all close out, where can people go online to check you out or learn more about you?
So I have a book. Here's my shameless plug. Go on Amazon, buy Staffless, and go to stafflesspractice.com. Or you can go to drjodidinnerman.com. That will take you to my chiropractic page and all of the other stuff, my book and the school. it's all really good.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being our guest today, Dr. Jodi. This was a fun one, and I think our audience is learning a lot of stuff from you. So thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, Jodi, thank you for being our guest today, and I'll look forward to seeing you this weekend in Colorado.
I'll see you then.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.